Hello and welcome. Trying to decide if I think this window's going to get too bright. I get a little reflective in the sun in the winter. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Ariel. We're going to go through 30 minutes of some gentle yoga. So, all of the poses that I offer today are merely suggestions. If they don't work in your body, if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel right, if you're just not feeling it, adjust to whatever shape is better in your body. I'm going to show the shapes as they sit in my body. So knowing that yours probably will look a little bit or a lot of bit different from mine, that's great, totally fine. I have a handful of props today. If you don't have any, you might want to go and grab some now. You can use yoga props like bolster blocks. I'm sitting on a little meditation pillow, but you can also use just things that you have around your house. So, pillows, couch cushions, books, towels, blankets, whatever you have available. We are going to stay seated for this entire 30 minutes. There will be no lying down, no getting up, no standing up. We'll start with a little meditation. We'll do a few gentle movements. We'll finish with so I like to call it like a mini meditation, and then we'll wrap class for the day. So take your time to get settled somewhere that is comfortable in your body. You can, of course, lie down for this. You can lean your back against the wall. You can be seated, legs crossed, legs extended. You can be in a piece of furniture if you'd like. Wherever you're comfortable is perfect. Take your time to get settled. And a little note, there's no requirement for stillness. So I like a little sway, a little wiggle, almost constantly throughout my practice. So if that feels good for you too, go for it. When you feel about as comfortable as you can get yourself, maybe taking a big breath to sort of officially settle and land here on your mat. You can already close the eyes if you're there, ready for that. You can take a little time to visually orient around your room. So I like to just look around and sort of notice what's in the space that I'm in. You can look for things of all the same color. So, for example, red, I have a little red pillow over there. I have a red shirt kind of tucked behind the camera. Just spending a little time to create a starting period for your practice. And when you feel like you're here in this moment, maybe softening the gaze, closing the eyes, but of course, you are welcome to leave the eyes open. An option to take a few big breaths here. You can create some sound. You can have the exhale be a sigh. You can flutter the lips. Maybe small movements is your preference today. So keeping the breath itself relatively small, that is okay too. And if you'd like, letting your attention wander through and around the body, looking for areas of sensation. And that could be anything from feeling the piece of support beneath you, whatever you're seated on, noticing the way your clothes touch the skin or the air touches your skin. Maybe even working your way a little more inward, noticing sensations that exist inside the body, noticing any any feelings that your muscles may have, maybe feelings in the stomach, in the chest, anything that is sensation, simply taking note. letting your attention wander freely through the body, lingering only in places that are interesting to you. I like to do my body scans with as much curiosity as I can bring in. So being curious about, oh, okay, that's interesting. I feel something here today, or usually I feel something in this other place, but maybe I don't today. So no judgments, or really trying trying our best not to judge and simply notice. If it's helpful and supportive for your practice, maybe taking a moment to set an intention for your practice today, for your whole day, for your weekend, or whatever. Some days I find intentions to be very helpful, other days they don't call to me so much, so I don't set one every time. You also have the option to pick a mantra, an affirmation, uh, uh, staying, anything that can offer you a little grounding, a little resource if you need it. And we're gonna start to work our way into some movement as I close these these shades here because I am getting a little reflective. So you are welcome to keep your eyes closed for as much of this class as you'd like. I'll do my best to give you enough verbal direction that you hopefully don't need to refer to the screen if you don't want to. Take a moment to check back in with your posture. See how the body is sitting or laying. Wherever you are, however you're seated, you can do these movements, even if you're lying down. So take a moment on your next inhale, encourage a little more length in the spine. So if you're seated, imagining that the crown of the head is reaching up a little taller, creating just a bit more space. And ever so gently, we're going to tip the head to one side. So I'm tipping my head to the right, letting my right ear fall towards my left shoulder. And gently, I'm going to bring my head back through center and we'll go off to the other side. Very gentle, very mindful, especially these first movements back through center. Go ahead and gently move back and forth from right to left at your own pace. These movements can be very big or so small that you probably can't even see them. And of course, anywhere in between. Going to a place where you feel a sensation that feels appropriate for you. So my neck has been a little tight lately, so I'm going to keep my movements relatively small with minimal sensation. I just want to be a little gentle with my muscles today. When you get back to that first side, we'll stay and hold, and we're going to play with the shape a little bit. So maybe you want to stay exactly as you are. Maybe that's enough sensation for you. If you'd like more, I'm going to offer some slight adjustments here. You can take your opposite fingers and reach them towards the ground. Sometimes I feel that that gives me a sort of an odd pressure through my arms. So if you feel that as well, just dropping that shoulder should give you the same sensation. So hands can be pointed towards the ground or resting on the leg. You can take same arm and rest it on top of your head if you'd like. Any combination or neither of those, you can then start to play with the direction of your chin. So maybe, does it feel better, nicer, more interesting to tip the chin down? Maybe you prefer to tip the chin up. Maybe you want to move, maybe gentle movement, less stillness. Maybe that feels better for you. When you're ready, we'll float the head through center. Let's take a cycle of breath here. Noticing different sensation from left to right. When you're ready, we'll move into the second side. So taking a moment, letting yourself settle into the shape before you get curious. So again, we can take those opposite fingers or drop that shoulder, create a little more length. You can take, my head is tilted to the left, so I'm taking my left hand and resting it on top of my head. I find that one to be quite intense, so I almost never go for that one personally. Putting the arms wherever you'd like and then starting to play with the chin. Maybe a little more down, maybe a little more up. Maybe drawing some shapes with the chin to see what particular angles engage what muscles and what feels best. It is entirely possible that you have no sensation here. That is okay too. Gently we'll come back to center. Option to add the arms here for a nice big inhale. Exhale, release the hands. Now we're gonna link breath and movement as best we can here. If that throws you off, just breathe normal. Breathe however you breathe. If you're following breath and movement, we'll take an inhale here. And as you exhale, looking over the right shoulder. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, looking off to the other side. And continuing here at your own pace. So whatever pace your breath is, that is roughly the pace that you'll move the head. Again, we're still in these very important muscles of the neck and the shoulders, the head. So be conservative here if you feel like you want to be conservative in your movements. This can be so small. It can be so small that the most you do is imagine yourself making these movements. That is equally beneficial in most circumstances. So simply even imagining these movements will give you a little something. Good, come back to center. I'm going to start to move the spine a little bit. So I'm going to come off my meditation pillow. I find it to sit a little too tall for this. I'm going to grab a folded up blanket and I stick that just underneath my sits bones so that I'm not fully sitting on this blanket. My whole seat is not on the blanket. It's sort of just like the edge of my butt so that my hips tip forward just a little bit. Most days, I don't know why this like crissy thing is good for my feet. You do not have to have your legs like this. You can take soles of the feet together. You can stretch the legs out really however you're comfortable. It's totally fine. You may want a block or two here on either side of you. Pillows, books also work. So get yourself re-settled, re-situated. Think about the shoulders being nice and heavy as we inhale. Take the arms up as high as is comfortable in your body overhead if you can. We're going to take right hand down to the block or to the floor, reaching up and over with the left. Inhale, coming back to center. Take that arm up. We'll go off to the other side. And go ahead again. Now take this at your own pace as I talk to you about some options. So another one where you can keep these movements really small. You can keep everything very much towards center if you'd like. Also, the option to really lean into this. You can lean way over. You can ditch that block. You can even, I almost can never get this one, but you can take your forearm to the ground if that's how much stretch, excuse me, you're wanting in your sides here. If you're feeling anything in the neck, the head, the jaw, think about adding a little more muscle engagement. So as you're coming off to the side, not letting gravity take your neck, but keeping quite a bit of lift there and maybe angling the chin a little bit higher. After you've completed your second side, meet me back here in center. We're going to go through a really gentle twist. So inhaling, creating some space. Exhale, twisting the shoulders off to the right. When your shoulders stop moving, relax your hands. Inhale, coming back to center. These first few, probably off to the left, are going to be pretty small as we get everything warmed up, woken up. Go ahead and continue at your own pace here. Being curious about where this movement goes. Where does it shift? Where does it change the more times you do it? And is this different than your usual practice? Are you somebody who loves a good deep twist? So you put a little weight behind the hands to really turn into that twist. And maybe this is a bit more gentle or smaller than you're used to. Go ahead and work your way back to that first side. When you get there, we're going to stay and hold for a few breaths. So let's talk about this shape. You, again, can be almost completely towards the front. If the most that you do is you take your left hand vaguely towards your right leg, also a twist. Maybe now that we're stationary here, you want to imagine length on the inhale, a deeper twist on the exhale. Maybe now you want to experiment with putting a little oomph behind that hand to really lean into this twist. Being curious and finding what feels best, what works best in your body today. When you're ready, nice and gentle inhale will come through center and switch sides. Allow yourself a moment to settle before that curiosity, that experimenting begins. You can experiment with the same thing or different things on both sides. It does not have to be the same right to left. And know that this probably will look a little different every single time you do this pose. It almost should look a little different because you want to meet your body where it's at on any given day. And what you did the day before, how you slept, how you ate, your stress levels when you last practiced. There's a million things that will affect how you show up day to day. Inhale, come back to center. Relax the arms. Good. We're going to take the soles of our feet together, butterfly the knees. I am now sitting totally flat on the ground. You can keep your hips elevated if you'd like. And now a million options here. We are going to stay here for a while. So you want to take a little time to get yourself comfortable. If letting the knees sort of free hang like this is too much uncomfortable for you, shove something underneath them. So blocks are great because you can get whatever height you need. I like this stretch personally. This is one I like to really go for it. So I don't personally support this one. Support it with props. In my heart, I support it. You can play also here with the distance of your feet from your groin. So pulling your feet way in is going to give you a massively different sensation than having your feet way out. You can also have lots of space in between your legs. Your feet do not have to touch. So finding a place that is comfortable depending on what your shape is like right now. Sitting upright or sitting without support on the back may be uncomfortable for you. Totally fine. Just find something to lean against. So actually I have this bolster placed perfectly here. And leaning back actually changes the sensation in quite a lovely way. It's rotated my sensation from my inner thigh a little more to my outer thigh. But if I pull my feet in, then I'm shifted back to my inner thigh. You also can do this one lying down on your back. That is a lovely way to take this pose. We're gonna just rest here for a bit. If you feel bored If you feel bored with stillness, you can, like we did with the twist, inhale, create a little length, and then exhale, think hinge forward a bit. So, again, that can be something that is totally only happening in your head, or it can be a very big movement of sitting upright, coming into as deep into this pose as you'd like. Inhale, sitting up. So maybe lots of movement, maybe not. Check in with other body parts. Can the shoulders be more relaxed? Can you create a little more space around your neck? If you're feeling uncomfortable sensation in the back of the neck and the head, maybe lift the chin up a bit. Maybe even sit a little more upright. And take just another few breaths here. Lovely. When you're ready, you can, with your muscles or with your hands, bring the legs together, stick them out-ish, maybe a little wiggle through the feet there. And then we're going to come into a straddle position. This one I love because it's really, really, really easy to adjust to make it fit in your body. So depending on your general flexibility, but also how you're feeling today, maybe you want the legs just parallel, just right off the, well, I guess that's not parallel, is it? I didn't do good in math, you guys. So as wide open as you'd like, or way close. Maybe this is the extent of your straddle today. Perfect, totally fine. Wherever you're comfortable with spacing. Now, many other adjustments from here. If this feels like it hyperextends your knees, take a little something like a blanket, a pillow, just stick that underneath the knees. This is a great way to support this pose. You can, if you don't have any way to support, or if that just doesn't do it for you, you can just pull your heels in, create a nice big bend in your knees, and work from there. Again, you can have a little support behind you. You can rest back that way. You can sit yourself upright. So I've gone from sitting back sort of towards my tailbone to rolling way forward on my sits bones. And I like, quite frankly, to just pull the fleshy part of your butt out of the way so you get a more solid seat. You can, of course, do this lying down. That should take quite a lot of the sensation out of this pose. And then now, wherever you are, finding the level of sensation that works for you. So I'm feeling awfully tight this morning, so I feel as much as I would like to in my inner thighs. So I'm going to hang out right here. You can start to work your way forward. You can make this super passive and relaxing. Take a nice, well, I guess depending on how far forward your chest is, that is the size of prop you'll need. So I've got a nice hefty bolster here. And I can lean forward on. There's a gentle curve in my spine as I do this, but I don't feel tightness, pulling, anything that's like, nothing scary. If you want to make it even higher, I love this one. I could spend like my whole life just here resting my forehead on my bolster. Maybe you're feeling super stretchy today, and maybe you want to take your whole chest forward, your forearms down to the ground. That is fine too. Maybe a sway. I like a little wiggle here. I find that it relaxes my muscles at a much faster pace, so I get a bit of a deeper stretch here. But of course, that is something that works for my body. It is a preference that I have. If it doesn't work for you or you don't like it, don't do it. I can't see you. I don't know what you're doing. You could be doing something totally different, and I know that you're doing a great job. So we'll take a few more breaths here. We'll do a little love for the shoulders and for the wrists. And we'll do our final mini meditation, and we'll be done for the day. One more nice, satisfying cycle of breath here. When you're ready, you can walk your hands back towards your groin if that's appropriate. A little wiggle in the legs, a little shake as we come out. Come back to a comfortable seated position. I'm going to grab my little blanket again to sit on. And let's stretch the wrists a bit. So hands just sort of like relaxed out in front of you, loose fists. And then we're going to draw some circles. Popping and cracking is relatively normal. If I do this big enough, it sounds like popcorn in my wrist. Change direction. So know that that's not necessarily a bad thing, but pay attention. You know your body best. So if you need to stop these movements or make them teeny, teeny, tiny, that is an option too. We'll put one hand forward. I've got a nice big bend in my elbow here. I'll show you from the side. And then I'm going to take my opposite fingers, grab mostly the palm. So I'm not pulling the fingers back so much as pulling the whole hand. And this one I experiment with to find the right level of sensation. So maybe you need to pull it way back in towards you, maybe way out in front of you. You can also turn your fingers that are grabbing. If up over the top is no good, you can pull from the side. Now keep that hand straight out. The fingers that are up, simply point them down. Same idea. Grabbing somewhere on the hand, less so the fingers. Keeping nice bends in the elbows. Probably your level of sensation is quite low here. That's okay. If it's super, super high, maybe pull back a little bit. No straining today. Good. You can give that a little wiggle out. Other fingers forward, grabbing up over the top from the sides. I don't know, whatever way you want. Pulling back just a bit. Nice and gentle. Good. Take those fingers that were up, point them towards the ground. Same idea. I have almost no pressure on my hand here. It's very, 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 very minimal. And that is simply what feels right for me today. There are some days where I just feel just like I could just be like Gumby. Remember Gumby? Today is not one of those days. Like 50 whole degrees here in California, so I'm not handling well. Go back to seated. Touch your fingertips on or towards your shoulders. If you want lots of space here, that's fine too. But we're going to think about our elbows. As you inhale, take the elbows either open, maybe back behind you, just sort of open-ish, whatever open-ish looks like for you. Maybe you poof the chest forward. As you exhale, a little curve in the spine, and then taking the elbows towards each other. If you want them to touch, let them touch. If that's not accessible or doesn't feel good, just some version of closed, some version of the opposite of your open. Now linking your own breath and movement. Inhale, open, exhale, close at your own pace. Again, giant movements, teeny tiny, imperceptible, just imagining it movements, or anywhere in between. Good. One more in each direction. And relax your arms. Take a moment to address any physical anything. I like a little shake is always nice. Maybe brushing, just brushing off anything you don't want. Get rid of it. Come back to a comfortable seated position. We're gonna do a mini meditation here. It's really a body scan. It's not really a meditation. There's no time. Inhale, softening the gaze or closing the eyes if you want. Taking this very brief moment in stillness to observe. to be curious. What do you feel like? What do you feel like right now? Is it different than you felt before? Is it just in the muscles and the bodies that you're feeling different, or at your core do you feel different? Does your mood shift? Maybe checking back in with your intention, your affirmation, whatever you've picked for this practice, if you've picked something. Now, gently fluttering the eyes open when you're ready. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Hopefully, you feel a little better or just more curious. Maybe you're just taking some curiosity through your day. That's also wonderful and amazing. Thank you so much. My name is Ariel. I will see you next week, same place, same time.